Well, April is National Month of Hope, which is all about celebrating the belief that things will work out in the end. One Catholic organization is working to bring hope to vulnerable children and their families around the world. Changing the Way We Care is a global initiative by Catholic Relief Services and Maestral International. The group works with partners around the world to empower families to care for their own children. The organization is currently active in India, Kenya, Moldova, and Guatemala. And joining me now is Erica Dahl-Bredine, Director for Global Influence, Learning and Engagement for Changing the Way We Care. Erica, great to be with you today. It may be a surprise to some to learn that there are a number of children in orphanages that actually have at least one living parent. Tell us more about this. And what are some of the ways that parents and children become separated? What happens?
Yeah, thanks so much for this opportunity. And I think National Month of Hope is the perfect time to be talking about this issue. What many Americans and others don't realize, as you say, is that there are millions of children around the world living in orphanages, what we prefer to call residential care facilities, who aren't actually orphans. 8 out of every 10 children, according to the research in orphanages, have one living parent. And the vast majority of the other children have extended family members, relatives who could potentially bring them in and care for them if they had the right kind of support. The reasons that so many children are placed in orphanages or residential care facilities, even though they have a parent, is poverty, is because often families simply can't provide the basic needs for their children: food, clothing, access to education, and other issues such as violence, war, disease like COVID, HIV, AIDS, and so on. But we know, the research says, decades of research say, that children fare far better in life at every level if they're raised in a family, in a safe and nurturing family, rather than in an institutional setting.
And Erica, talk to us about, maybe the challenges in reconnecting children with their families.
Yes, it's not an overnight process by any means. The good news is there are many organizations out there, faith-based and secular, like Changing the Way We Care, that are working to support and empower families and communities so that children can be reunited from residential care facilities back into their families, and also to prevent more children ultimately from being placed in orphanages. And we do that in a variety of ways. We're working very closely with many orphanages in those countries that you mentioned, for example, helping them to gradually reunify children with their families. That means taking the time to try to trace those families, to do extensive case management with those families to make sure that the environments are safe and nurturing and ultimately are in the best interests of those children. And then after reunifying them, to gradually begin transforming their institutions away from providing residential care and turning themselves into essentially family support and community centers. And so that can involve providing services to children with disabilities, which is another big group of children that are represented in orphanages. It means helping families connect up to social services, helping them get positive parenting programs, occasionally small business loans and business advice. Various types of support, sometimes facilitating access to educational scholarships so that children can go to school and still live at home. All of those are ways that families ultimately can be strengthened and can keep their children with them.
And Erica, what can we do to help out with all of this?
Yeah, well, I'm really personally humbled by the millions of Americans, people of faith, who contribute so generously their time and their talents and treasure to support orphanages. And so what we're saying is, not to stop supporting orphanages, but rather to use that influence that people have with the orphanages they support to encourage them to begin reunifying children with their families where they are able, and to gradually consider transforming into centers that can support families to be successful. And those organizations need financial support to do that. So we can all continue to fund those organizations, but really by trying to influence them to support and prioritize family care over residential care, over orphanages.
Erica, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this with us. We really appreciate it, and thank you for what you do. God bless you.